Hey, PJ here. I'm really excited to talk about pattern interrupts today because this is going to be one of your most valuable tools for cracking cravings and resisting emotional eating. Pattern interrupts are useful for other things too. Switching out of a mood, even getting into a mood, depending on what you want to do. This is how you control your mind. This is how you control your subconscious brain especially. And using these techniques, you can literally reprogram and rewire that subconscious brain so you can snap in and out of any emotion that you want at any time. Now, this isn't stuffing emotions. This is transforming emotions. So there's 3 ways to interrupt your patterns. And patterns are just habits. Patterns are also states that you're in. If you're in a crummy state and you're more likely to eat stuff, then you want to get out of that state. And if you're in a pattern where there's something that you do all the time because it's a habit, you want to get out of that pattern. So here's some great ways to do it. These 3 main ways are attention, what you're giving your attention to, your body, how you're using your body, and conversations. The conversations you're having with yourself especially, and with others. So let's start with attention. Have you ever been having a conversation with somebody and they're really upset? Maybe they're hysterically crying, maybe they're mad, and their phone rings, and all of a sudden they're suddenly somehow able to switch off that emotion, turn around, pick up the phone, and say, hello, and have the conversation with the person that just called them in a completely different way, in a completely different state than what they were a couple seconds earlier. Then they hang up the phone and they go back to their upset state or their angry state. It's like, wow, we can all do this. We're actually really good at it. But just recognizing it and seeing it for ourselves and then knowing how to do it on purpose is the key. Another great way to use this attention swapping technique is in the situation where you are craving a certain food, or you're just about to eat a certain food that you shouldn't be eating, you know you shouldn't be eating, or just you're thinking about a certain food that you'd rather not think about. You can switch it over and think about another food. You can purposely and very deliberately think about a good food that's good for you that you also enjoy. And while you're doing that, you're pulling out of the nerve pathway of the food that you shouldn't be thinking about, that you'd rather not stop, that you'd rather stop thinking about. And that's really important because when you do that, you are pulling out of that pathway and making it weaker. You're pulling into this pathway and making that stronger. So over time, you're making this addiction stronger to the good food and this addiction weaker to the bad food. It's just a swap. It's just an attention, just a diversion technique. Another great technique to completely divert all the pathways if you're in a really crummy state or you're just in a pattern that you can't seem to break is just to stop and to think about what you're grateful for. There's lots of things all of us can be grateful for, especially in this country where we're so spoiled with everything. And just look around the room that you're in or the car that you're in, and that alone is something to be grateful for. When your brain is occupied with gratitude, it can't be also occupied with all that other garbage that you've been thinking about that got you in this crummy state, or that's keeping you in this pattern that you want to interrupt. So it necessarily takes you out of that and puts you in a good state to help you change and now make better decisions. I actually have some stickers that I give out to people that they can place on things that they look at often, like their watch, or the rearview mirror in their car, or the mirror in their bathroom. So when they see that sticker, they're reminded to be grateful. And that's so important to be in that state. Even if you're in a good state, this is a great exercise to keep you in a good state. Another great technique is to literally redefine the context that you're operating in. So let's say you're having a crummy day and you're Chicken Little, the sky's falling. Everything's going wrong. We've all had those days. We're going to have more in the future. So a great tool when that happens is to think about, in context, is this really that bad? Am I really having this bad a day? Because just remember, there's somebody somewhere in the world that's having a way worse day than you are. In fact, in most countries of the world, those people would give their right arm to have your worst day. That would be their best day. So if you think of it in terms of that, you can stop yourself and you can think, wait a minute, this really isn't that bad. Most of the places on this globe would love to be having the crummy day that I'm having right now. That would be amazing. They would give anything to be as miserable as I am right now, because to them, that's fantastic. Another way to redefine the context is to think, how much will this situation matter in 10 years? So if something big happens to you and is really upsetting you, put it in perspective. How much will it matter in 10 years? How much will it matter in 5 years? And if the answer is still not that much, it's probably not that big a deal. How much will it matter in 2 years? How much will this really matter in 1 year, 6 months, 3 months? You can narrow it down and really define how big a deal it really is, and it helps to put it all in perspective. If I'm in a crummy state, or I am in a pattern and I'm about to make a decision, I know I'm going to make the better decision, both morally and what's best for me, if I run through a certain order of words that I have memorized. Now, this comes from about 2,000 years ago, so this is not new technology. This comes from the Apostle Paul. He was the first real cognitive psychologist, and he came up with a list of words, and it's listed in Philippians 4:8. And every time I need a good reference point, I just run whatever I'm thinking about through these words, and it helps me make a great decision. An awesome decision always comes out on the other end of this exercise. Here are the words: whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy. Think about those things. That's what Paul said in Philippians 4:8, over 2,000 years ago. And it works. It's amazing. Those words are so powerful, they can completely change your state. And if you meditate on them and concentrate on them, you will make awesome decisions.